Valdez Bravo for PCC. So my name's Robin, and I am a big Valdez supporter, hopefully, like most of the folks here. Valdez would be the first Latino ever elected to the PCC board. Yeah. He'd also be the only veteran on the board, if you can believe that. So Valdez's relationship with PCC goes back a long time. He attended PCC as a student. He taught there as an adjunct instructor, and he also served on an advisory board for PCC. So needless to say, PCC is very special to Valdez. So thank you all again for being here. I have the privilege to be the MC tonight and introduce some amazing speakers. So first up, I'm excited to introduce Margaret Doherty, who is the Oregon State Representative for House District 35 in Southwest Portland. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's exciting to see so many people here for a race from somebody who's never run before. And so anyway, thank you very much, because I know it's something that means a lot to Valdez and his family. But the one thing that I think is very important, and this is where, you know, there are going to be people asking and so on, it's so very important in this race, considering we have 3 candidates for it, is to go through and make sure that you help Valdez in his campaign, whether it's financially or knocking on doors or talking to your neighbors or writing letters or talking to newspapers. I think it's something that's very important. But I think more importantly about this race is that you've got somebody that really knows PCC. And it is such a diverse community now. You know, I hate to say that when I actually graduated from high school, PCC was only like 5 years old. And now, and it was very, very small, and it was more technical than anything else. But now, I mean, they've got more kids than anybody else, and more students than anybody else in the state. And they're doing wonderful things, and I think that Valdez will go through and add to the flavor and the dedication of PCC, because he is a PCC grad. And when you've got that sort of connection, then I think it's something that's very, very important for the community. So what I encourage you guys to do is when, you know, the ask comes, make sure you're knocking on doors and talking to your friends and giving them a little money and that kind of thing, because that's what will get them on the board. And I think it's very, very important to get that diversity on the PCC board and also have somebody that went there. Very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. That was awesome. Up next, our next guest I know from volunteering on the Bernie Sanders campaign together. Please give a warm welcome to Melissa Ray, the Democratic Party of Oregon's Veterans Caucus Chair.
Hi there. I don't normally keep notes. If you've ever seen me speak before, I love to just go right from the cuff. But since today is the day without a woman, I decided I had to stay focused. And I would like to say it's pretty clear that Valdez cannot do without a woman. And I think he already knows that, right? We have Marie and Alani and Robin and Representative Doherty. Thank you all so much for supporting Valdez. Valdez asked me to do a personal introduction for him. And so I want to tell you a little bit about me, because some of you know me and some of you don't. So my name is Melissa. And I, like Valdez, went into the military right after high school. And I got out to go to college. I got out for a million reasons, frankly. It was awful. A woman in the Marine Corps was kind of like, what could possibly go wrong? You know? And I got out, and then I found myself at the Pentagon September 11th, 2001, as an American Red Cross volunteer. And that was a life-changing experience, and I ended up going back into the military. In case I didn't get it right the first time, maybe the second time would work out. And so, needless to say, that changed my plans. After I went back into the military, I went into the DC Air National Guard, and I became an engineer at Lockheed Martin. Have you heard college come up yet? Didn't happen yet. And so eventually I did. I sold my house, I quit my job, I went to college, and that led to starting to deal with some of the PTSD that veterans deal with. And I walked away from college and I joined the circus. That really happened. And it was around that time I was performing as an acrobat and a stilt walker with March 4th Marching Band, if any of you know who they are. Super fun. And as much fun as that was, a lot of stuff just kept happening. And just like all of you are activated now, I had stuff happening in my personal life that just kept happening and really forced me to get engaged. And I met Valdez doing activism work, primarily initially through the Bernie Sanders campaign. So needless to say, or I already said, the military was awful, but I was born to serve, right? And the only way I knew how to finish that sentence was to serve my country. I didn't even understand the value of serving my community. And so the nail in the coffin was the second time I went into the military and I got out, and I'm really happy that I did that. But when I met Valdez, he was already in process of forming the Veterans Caucus. He had contacted the liaison for caucuses and had been doing all of the legwork for it. And he reached out to me and a couple of other veterans and asked us if we were interested in being part of the caucus and the variety of leadership positions that would happen there. And I did not have closure. And most public speakers will tell you that it's generally not a good idea to talk about things you don't have closure with, right? I break that rule all the time. And so when Valdez asked me about leadership positions within the caucus, I do not like being a veteran. I don't like other veterans. I had all these stories in my head that I wasn't ready to be part of a veterans caucus because I had unresolved problems as a veteran. And when we got to our first meeting that we were forming, it somehow convinced me I should at least throw my hat in the ring to consider being the chair. And I was kind of like, fine. I wasn't sure why I even agreed to it, And so when it came time to give our speeches, Valdez went first, and he talked about why he formed the Veterans Caucus. And in the 2-minute or 1-minute speech that he gave, which is a lot shorter than the time I'm taking now, he nominated me to be the chair. And the impact that that had on me, I couldn't have even begun to imagine. Because what Valdez understands as a veteran, as a leader, is that there is a time to step up and there is a time to step back. And he wanted to make sure that the right voices were at the table so that they had some say in what was going on there. And I just had never really seen a man do that for me before. I was pretty impressed. But I like to use that a lot. Some of you will hear me say that, step up, step back, know your role. Did he do the right thing? I don't know. He seems to think he did. But the journey that it's taken me on in my healing as a veteran is a story for another day. So I'm super grateful for that. So as a board member for PCC, I'm really excited to see Valdez run, not only as a graduate of PCC, but going to PCC as a veteran gives him a really unique perspective of what it's like to start school after you've had tenure in the military, after you've had a career. Going back as an adult is a whole different story than showing up there 18 years old ready to go, right? It's a whole different ball of wax. And I also know this about Valdez. He's going to be able to represent even traditional students. It's not just your youthful spirit, Valdez. It's not just good looks. It's none of that stuff. It's because he listens. It's not the patronizing kind of listen where you go down to City Hall and they let you talk into the microphone. He actually listens, and he believes us. He believes us, and he is able to embody that and take it forward, which I think is a rare quality in a leader and in a politician. So I would like to introduce to you my friend, our compatriot, and the next board member of PCC, Valdez Bravo.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. As mentioned, my name is Valdez Bravo. I believe that an affordable, accessible, quality education is the cornerstone of a just and equitable society. And Portland Community College is really one of the last places around here that that opportunity still exists. Public education right now is under attack. And with the confirmation of Betsy DeVos, we're going to have to fight even harder. Oregon's facing its own financial straits, which has already got public schools and colleges feeling the pain. And PCC alone is facing a $12 million budget shortfall in the next biennium. So in an environment like this, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. We're going to need bold new thinking. And we need to also ensure that we have a diverse, underrepresented voices with a seat at the decision-making table. And that's why I'm running to be on the next PCC, on the PCC Board of Directors from Zone 5. Now, if you had told me at the age of 18 that I'd be standing here before you tonight asking for your vote and for your support, I would have thought you were crazy. No one in my family went to college. My father came up from Guanajuato, Mexico as an undocumented worker. But he met my mom. They got married. He became a citizen. But at the end of the day, he was still a man with only 2 weeks of formal education in his life. So the motto for my family, or my expectation, was two things. One, learn a trade. Two, stay out of jail. And so I joined the Army. 3 weeks out of high school, I joined the Army at the age of 18, and I served for 8 years as a medical equipment repairman. And upon returning, after those 8 years, to Oregon, I enrolled at Portland Community College. And a funny thing happened. In high school, I had been a very mediocre student, I'll say. But at PCC, I thrived. And I think it was because they had the flexible schedule that allowed me to go to school at night while still being able to work my day job up at the VA and serving my fellow veterans. And they also had a wide variety of courses and curriculum that allowed me to explore new topics and ideas that I had never before engaged, and I loved it. And because of that experience, I decided to continue on, and I transferred to Portland State University, where I graduated with an English degree and 2 minors in writing and film, magna cum laude. After that, because of that, I was able to go on to graduate school and earn a dual master's degree in business administration and healthcare administration. But really, all of it, none of it would have been possible if it hadn't been for PCC. A couple years after I transferred to Portland State University, the PCC Sylvania campus opened up their biomedical electronic engineering technology program. Basically, I got a graduate over here with the EET program. And basically, it was the exact same skill set that I had been taught in the Army and that I was doing, that it was my career profession up at the VA hospital while I was going back to school. And so a call went out that they didn't have any instructors to actually teach how to fix medical equipment and troubleshoot it. And so a call went out to the community. And I saw that email, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give back to PCC. That'd be fun to go back there and take the skills that I learned as a young soldier and teach them to Portland Community College students. So I went back. I took some donated medical equipment that they had in a closet, fixed it up, put some bugs in it, and created a curriculum that taught students how to troubleshoot and repair medical equipment. Because of that, I was also able to develop a relationship that allowed me to have biomedical EET PCC students come up to the VA and do their co-op in our department where I supervised the shop. I had moved up a little bit at this point. And it was great because I got to mentor them, I got to train them, help them do mock interviews, and really prepare them for the workforce. And I'm proud to say that I was able to help all of those students get good paying jobs. Now, because of that experience, the Biomed EET program contacted me and they invited me to be on their advisory board. They had a biomedical EET advisory board, which met several times a year. And it was really a chance for them to invite industry professionals in to say, how are our students doing? How's the curriculum? What can we do better? How can we better prepare students to meet the needs of today's workforce? And so it was my pleasure to serve on that board for about 3 years and to advise them on the type of skills, soft and hard, that they needed to instill in the students to make them ready for the workforce. And now I'm ready to serve in PCC, pay it back in a role of even greater responsibility as a director on the PCC board. I'm running because PCC is a special place, and I want to ensure that it continues to be a place where you can get an affordable quality education. I want to make sure that we fight to keep tuition costs down because PCC, with the tuition skyrocketing in the four-year degree programs, PCC really is one of the last places that a student can go and get the credits they need to go to a four-year institution later, or to learn a new job skill right there at PCC without walking away incurring a mountain of debt. And so I will fight to make sure that PCC remains an affordable, accessible place. I also know that PCC would be nothing without its awesome faculty and staff. PCC, let's hear it for the teachers and the staff. PCC is the special place it is because of those faculty and staff. I remember just being so impressed with all of my instructors when I went there 13 short years ago. And as an instructor who went there a little bit more recently than that, I can really attest to the quality of not just the faculty that you see out in front of you in the classroom at the podium, but the staff all over the campus, regardless of the role, because every role is important. And because every faculty staff member is important, I'll fight to make sure that they get just pay, that we fight for more full-time permanent jobs, and that their needs are met so that they can deliver the kind of high-quality education that PCC is known for. Now, as a Latino and the son of a former undocumented worker, I am so proud of the fact that Portland Community College was the first community college in Oregon to adopt sanctuary status. You might say, why does that matter? Why does sanctuary status matter for a school? Well, we have healthcare services available on campus. We have guidance counseling services available on service. And why is that? It's a no-brainer. Because we know that if a student is able to do well academically, they need to have their basic needs met. And students cannot thrive if they're constantly living in fear of racial profiling or deportation because they came up while they're on campus. And so what sanctuary status does is means that students can learn without living in fear. And so I salute the students that activated and organized and got sanctuary status, the board to adopt sanctuary status. And as a board member, I will fight to preserve that sanctuary status at PCC. Lastly, I want to say that I care very much about healthcare. Healthcare in this country, we have a national crisis on our hands. It takes up 18% of our GDP. 18 cents out of every dollar we spend in America goes towards healthcare, and that's money that's not going towards infrastructure and education and other programs. And Oregon's no different. Healthcare makes up 20% of our economy here in Oregon. It's our top economy. A lot of people don't think about that. And so, as a healthcare professional who's been living and breathing healthcare for over 22 years, who is a board-certified fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives, who serves at the strategic level of a large healthcare organization of over 3,500 employees, I know the realities and the challenges, and I know what we need in our workforce. And as a board member, I will be on the board and be able to advise them on how we keep PCC on the cutting edge of meeting the Pacific Northwest workforce needs. And we'll make sure that our students all get an opportunity to get a great education in healthcare. As a veteran, as a Latino, and as a first-generation college student, I will ensure that underrepresented voices are always listened to, and they're always at the table when we're making decisions at PCC. And as a former student, as a former instructor, and as a former advisory board member, I think I have the unique skills and experience needed to really advocate for all of PCC's diverse sets of stakeholders, regardless of who they are. I've been there, and I've seen it action. I've done it. And PCC does have a very special place in my heart. And it's not just for what they did for me as a young veteran getting out of the Army and going back to school, but it's for what they do for all of us every day, for what PCC really does for our community. And that's why I'm so excited and thrilled to have you all here together fighting to make sure that PCC is preserved as the community treasure that it really is, and it continues the legacy of excellence that it's known for today. Thank you so much for coming out to help me fight that battle. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm really proud of Valdez for stepping up and wanting to do something and give back to his community. PCC has loved him, and he wants to give some of that love back. It's a rare opportunity for many of us to make some history. I am the Vice President of Political Action for Portland Community Colleges Faculty Federation. I've been there for about 6 years now. My day job, what helps me pay my mortgage, is I am a career specialist in the Workforce Development Department over at Willow Creek. But my excitement in life is what happens after 5 o'clock, when I get to get involved with the community and get to support great candidates like Valdez. But here tonight, we have an opportunity to make some history. But before I do that, I want to make sure I give thanks to Representative Margaret Doherty, who sometime right after Thanksgiving sent me an email about this great young gentleman I needed to meet. You know, and I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And when she said amazing, she wasn't kidding. Me and Valdez probably talked for about an hour on a Tuesday night, and I gave him some suggestions. I said, hey, you know, let's talk more on Thursday, and I have more time. Well, he had taken notes, because come Thursday, he knew more stuff than I did about PCC. So he's a quick learner. He's enthusiastic about making change and being supportive of students at PCC. I also want to give a shout out as a veteran myself. Thank you for your service. Melissa, thank you. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I did 2 years and I wanted out. And things were pretty good for me, and I still wanted out. But anyway, thank you for the veterans in charge, and I think Valdez brings a whole lot of things to being a board member. In 2015, I was charged to, for 50 years, PCC had never had a former instructor, a former retired employee, staff, be on the board. But in 2015, we elected Michael Sottenliner as the first former instructor to become a board member. As a person of color and also a first-generation college graduate, I know how hard it is to be that first one. And I know how hard it's going to be for Valdez to win, because this is what I've been getting. And I've been doing political stuff for about almost a dozen years now. He's a first-time candidate. He doesn't know anything about campaigning. And I have to hear that, and I have to hear that, and I have to tell him about, you know what? Sometimes everybody has to be a first-time candidate. Whether you're the great JFK or whether you're the great Obama, you have to be a first-time candidate at some point. You just don't, with one exception, you just don't throw your name out there without doing the hard work. So Valdez, I want to announce tonight that the Portland Community College Faculty Federation has endorsed your campaign. And we do so with the many instructors and staff here in the audience, knowing that you're going to do a good job for us. Once we get you elected, you're going to be there for the voice of the students, voice of the staff, and the voice for labor. And that's appreciative, because that's what we need. If we don't have a voice from the middle class, if we don't have a voice that's struggled as a student, that voice isn't going to be heard. And we're going to be very proud to work for you and work hard for you. And with that, we're also, I got to ask my board, but I'm hopeful that they'll make a contribution to your campaign of $500. Okay.